Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've spent the last 4 years trying to figure out how we're going to get a heavy icebreaker. We're well on track to do that. Admiral, could you bring us up to date on where we are with the heavy icebreaker and specifically the funding issues for the first, second, third?
Thank you, Ranking Member. And as you know, as we look, not finalized yet, but certainly the 19 budget, very optimistic with an appropriation that gets us an icebreaker with DHS funding. As we all know, there's language in the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, that puts the onus on defense to provide one icebreaker. So there's still more work to be done in terms of how that funding is sequenced. We need more than one icebreaker. The program of record is 6, and then going forward, we need to look at block buying these. And there's language in the request for proposals for the 5 potential contractors to submit that as well so we can make an informed decision, because this is the highest risk mission that we have right now. I have nothing else I can send down to Antarctica in my inventory right now if our only heavy icebreaker should be set in ice. So that's the additional work that needs to happen going forward with our polar icebreaker program.
Okay. The budget augmentation has some $700 million. My personal opinion of that, that's for the second and third icebreakers, and we ought not relieve the Department of Defense from funding the first icebreaker. That's where I'm coming from on it. We'll see how all that works out into the future as we put together the new NDAA and the appropriation, the omnibus now underway, then the 2019 appropriations. I toss that out and say that's the bottom line, and hopefully that will be the way it is, so that that 750 doesn't relieve the Department of Defense from its current obligation to fund the first icebreaker. Going forward, we have questions really I want to get to Murad and Admiral Busby. And this has to do with the National Security Multi-Mission Vessel. Once again, the addendum to the budget indicates that there's $300 million to buy some laid up, used, rusty, foreign-built hulls rather than the new National Security Multi-Mission Vessel. Let's get into it, Admiral Busby. Where are we with this, and are you really serious as a representative of the administration to toss out all the work that's been done in the design? And by the way, where is the design of this new multi-mission vessel?
Thank you for the question, sir. First, the design is alive and well. It is fairly mature. And
fairly mature is what I would call a squishy word, or words. Exactly, where is the design? Is it completed?
It is not ready to build from. It would need to go one further step into detailed design and advanced procurement. That would be the next step, which would...
So it's good to go to the next step. However, the administration is taking us to a bunch of rusty buckets.
Well, sir, the reason I think that the request was made the way it was due to the time frame, given the funds that are in the potentially in the FY18 budget, which we don't know for sure yet. Given the fact that we are bumping up against the stops with the Empire State having to get something in place for her in 19, the nearest path now that we're kind of getting in against the stops was to go on the open market to find not necessarily a laid up ship, a ship that's available. And it could still be a U.S. built ship. We're going to cast a very wide net to see what is available to then upgrade.
So if we follow that, what happens to the whole concept of a multi-mission vessel?
I think it's still
it
alive.
sunk.
The business case is still there that a new ship should be procured. That still exists. It's the time, if money were to materialize and we could get started on a ship sooner, a new ship, we could, we could build a new ship. We have the capability to do that, but the time is what is working against us.
Let me just be very clear.
Sir.
No way, no how. Are we going to allow you to go out and buy a bunch of rusty old hulks rather than continue with what we have been working on for the last several years, and that is the concept of a multi-mission vessel? So keep that in mind.
Yes, sir.
There's $300 million that's somewhere out there, and I'll do everything I can. I think the committee may very well be supporting it. At least the ranking member indicated he did.
We'll look forward to working with you on that, sir.
My time has expired, and we're going to do the best we can to stay to our 5 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Thank the gentleman. Mr. Mast is recognized.